Well, let me just start this segment by saying I've officially come to the conclusion that Sean McDermott coaches to not lose rather than coaching to win. And again, tying this into how we started the show, before you thought things were a fluke, or the Hail Mary, or the 13 seconds, and it's like, oh, we're just going to get better with communication, and we're going to prepare a little bit more, and we just need to execute better. But now it's becoming a trend where, again, the Bills have lost the game of the year every single year for the last 4 years. And then you look at the Denver game with 12 men on the field, now with 20 seconds, kneeling it out. Are you kidding me? You have Josh Allen playing one of the best games that we have seen in recent memory. I don't want to overstate that, but the point is Josh was balling out and it was raining. I don't want to leave that out either. I mean, you couldn't even tell how bad the conditions were because Josh was just absolutely on fire. And you don't even want to give your $250 million quarterback a chance to go win you the game. Did you not learn anything in the 13 seconds when it only took Mahomes 13 seconds to go get into field goal range? Or did you not learn anything when Jake Elliott just drilled a 59-yard field goal not even a minute ago, and you don't want to give your kicker that same opportunity on those same conditions on that same field? I mean, these are just repeated events where it's not just a fluke anymore. It's becoming a trend. And I'm not saying that we need to fire Sean McDermott right now because I don't see any point of that mid-season. But like we were saying with Von Miller, how these final 5 games are going to be huge for him, this is going to be huge for Sean McDermott, because if this team misses the playoffs with this roster and with Josh Allen playing the way he is now and Stephon Diggs and the rest of the crew, that is a fireable offense right there. Now, in terms of the things that we are seeing right now with McDermott and some things that are still bothering me, someone brought this up on Twitter last night, and I thought it was a great point, that McDermott gets aggressive on defense but not on offense, because you were talking about the final play of the game on defense where he sends everyone. It's an all-out blitz, and they try to do everything to go get Jalen Hurts, where McDermott even admitted to that. He said, yeah, like we wanted to wreak havoc, and we wanted to put pressure on Hurts to force him to make a decision. So it's like, okay, you play bend but don't break defense, say what you want about the soft zone coverage, that whole drive, but when the game matters most, McDermott turns on the aggressiveness for his defense. But can you say that same thing for about the offense? I don't think so, because when it mattered most, they kneeled it out or they elected for the field goal. So that tells me that he trusts his defense more than his offense. And in a league where you're going to win with offense, and in a league where he should be learning these lessons after multiple encounters and multiple years of being the head coach, that's what scares me. That is what is holding me back on McDermott and really questioning if he is the right coach for this team and for this quarterback.
I think the discussion for me is the circumstantial nature of the calls. Like we're saying because he kneeled on it, he wasn't. I think their offense is very aggressive, and Sean McDermott's to let them be aggressive the majority of the season, hurtingly so, to the point where the offensive coordinator gets fired. I think they've been very aggressive, and then we're trying to see, should he scale back? We've talked all offseason. Should he scale back? Should he run less? Should he do this? Should he, not look for the honey hole as much? Whatever the discussion may be. But I think that this game is just the way it played out in terms of, if that's 4th and 7, they're down 3. We don't know what he would have done. Would he would have kicked the field goal just to give it back to Philly to go win on a field goal? Like if it was reversed, I don't think we can make that a discussion where maybe he does put the ball in Josh Allen's hand and say a field goal ties it. They're going to go down and win with the sudden death anyways. Now they only need a field goal. So I don't know that we know for sure. It just happened to be a scenario to where they got the ball with 20 seconds and 1 timeout. And he said he went through it a million times or whatever with permutations. We don't know that he's not being aggressive because he feels like Josh is going to go win it in overtime, which he was this close to doing. So I think that's the difference. Is it's not like he had a whole quarter next in overtime to go. He's wanting Josh to go win it in an optimal situation, not with 20 seconds and some goofball bad penalty, some goofball fumble or something happens. And now Josh actually doesn't get the ability to go play. Because I do still stand on this. He would have taken a ton of heat if something went wrong in that 20 seconds, maybe even so much that would have caused some bad issues. So I will stand on that. Like, I still think that, and even Tony Romo said it, more can go wrong than right. Everything went right for Mahomes in 13 seconds. They had the 3 timeouts, though. Everything can go right for you in those situations, but you need everything to go right. A little minor thing goes wrong, and this is a different discussion we're having about those 20 seconds. And now we're probably using it against them, and I could absolutely see a situation to where we're for sure using that 20 seconds. How could he ever do that? He has Josh Allen in overtime. How could we ever give him those 20 seconds why would we ever want to push it in the rain with one time, whatever? Like, I don't think he could win in that scenario personally outside of it. And if they would have won in that scenario, Josh Allen gets all the credit, like all of it. Like, it would have been like, of course you go for it, because you have like, he would have gotten no credit for putting his foot on the gas pedal in that scenario. And he just said, and it almost worked. They got the ball first. They drove the entire field. They had essentially a wide open player in the end zone to win the game. It was the right call, in my opinion. But going back on it, now you're thinking, like, I didn't really hear a ton about kneeling on it until after the Eagles were like had the ball and driving, and the Bills had kick a field goal. Like, I didn't hear like a ton about the kneeling on it scenario because I think we played the results a little bit with that one. But ultimately, I think he is pretty aggressive on offense. And it's a lot of Brady's call or Dorsey's call prior of how aggressive the offense is. Sure, he may say to punt, but he, like I said earlier, second best coach in the league at making the right 4th down decisions. He is aggressive on offense specifically. So that's where it just didn't accumulate the way that this specific game ended. Because ultimately, I'll be honest, he played it like the defense played actually the final drive really well. And they put him in a 59-yard field goal in the pouring rain, swirling rain. He thinks he's winning the game in that scenario, and he'd rather kneel on it, recoup, get a full drive of Josh Allen to go win a football game with no time restrictions, no timeout restrictions, no constraints, go win the football game. And I can't blame him for giving Josh an entire field with no limitations to go win a game like he almost did. So I can't fault him too much on that one, Kevin.
See, now, I think this is a microcosm of who Sean McDermott is as a coach. Because, to your point, is the offense aggressive in general? Yes. But are they aggressive when it matters most? And I can't say yes for that. And for the same thing, you could say, does Sean McDermott win games? Yes. But does he win the big games? Does he win in the big moments? And I can't say that either. So I think it's a weird kind of relationship where you're starting to see how it aligns here. And I want to go back to the 20-second kneel out here, because something that we haven't mentioned yet is that they were faced with almost the exact same scenario last year in Detroit on Thanksgiving. The only difference was he had 3 timeouts and 25 seconds to work with, and they were indoors. So they proved that they could do it because they didn't even have to use those timeouts. Allen threw that rope to Diggs, timeout. I believe Josh ran it for 9 yards, and then they got into field goal range, took another timeout. It was either a timeout or he ran out of bounds, and then Bass made a long field goal. So Sean McDermott proved that he can have that it factor. He proved that he can be aggressive in those moments and that he can let Josh be Josh and win you the games. So that's where I'm at with this, where I just need to see it more from McDermott, because that is the biggest thing holding him back right now and the biggest thing holding this team back. Now, you could throw the blame around just about every single angle you want: offense, defense, special teams, coaching, even if you want to talk about Brandon Beane's construction of this roster or the depth. But at the end of the day, the Bills are 2-6 in 1-score games this year. You look at the opposition, Philadelphia is now 7-1. That comes down to coaching.